Welcome back to the T-Bird podcast, coming at you on the 11th of May, 2025. A beautiful 11 day today in numerology. 11 is the number of emotion. So all you people out there, just be mindful of your emotional volatility today, because your emotions could be tested in certain ways. All kinds of conflictual things in the world can happen on 11 days as well. So also keep an eye out on potentially, the kind of activities, whether it's like, even terrorist activities, all kinds of globally tumultuous activities can happen on 11 days. So just be mindful of that. For the viewers tuning in and people who are tuning in who might be from other parts of the world, it still might be the 10th still, not quite into the 11th yet, but naturally being down under, we are well and truly in the 11th today. And it's also a 7-day. So just a quick overview of the energetics of today in numerology terms. So today, the two dominant energies of the day is the 7, the 7 being the primary dominant energy of the day, because that's the reduced day. When you add 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 5, which is the full day, May 11th, 2025, adds up to 25, and 25 is 2 plus 5, which reduces to 7. And so 7 is the energy of knowledge, of intelligence. So 7 is a number of knowledge. So today, as a 7-day, is about sharing knowledge, teaching knowledge, but in conjunction with the 11 energy, because it's an 11-day as well. When you combine those two dominant energies together in synergy, it's primarily about capturing and harnessing knowledge, teaching knowledge, sharing knowledge, with the intent of influence, because 11 is also the number of influence, and 11 also is the number of charisma. And of course, there's a direct link between between charisma and influence. They're basically two sides of the same coin. So we've got a lot to cover today. So I just wanted to do a quick overview in terms of the numerology of the day. Today is a great day for me to get on the airwaves and to just gesturally generate some influence out there, give some knowledge, share some knowledge, teach some knowledge in the context of numerology and astrology and crypto, the two realms being the focal points of my content. So what I'll quickly shift now to is, so there's a lot to recap in crypto terms, in terms of what's going on in the macro crypto, as even more specifically what's going on in the pulse chain and hex ecosystem. So since I did my last stream back on the 5th, a lot has happened. So I'll try to get through everything as efficiently as possible. So I want to first read out a tweet that I put out. When was it? On the 10th, just yesterday. So and it definitely feels like the community resonated strongly with what I put out in this tweet. So it reads: Richard Hart already understood many years ago, better than anyone else, before Hex even launched in 2019, that if you're going to launch a coin that is going to have any kind of long-term viability, there must be a secure mechanism built into the code that enables and incentivizes users to hard lock it. No matter what kind of incentivization mechanic or scheme you apply onto a coin, assuming it's not a rug, if it doesn't have a long-term hard lock incentivization feature, it will inevitably be vulnerable to being permadumped. Doesn't matter what it is, it's extremely unlikely that it will survive the trial by fire. in terms of and when I say trial by fire, I'm speaking about contextually with the market cycles of the bulls and the volatility swings of the bull markets and the bear markets. And so why? Human psychology. The overwhelming majority of humans will find any excuse, any reason whatsoever to dump their coins for something else, even if the something else is an absolute dumpster fire or the something else is a top blast, because that's the nature of the beast, the nature of speculation. With a long-term hard lock, it makes the community stay long-term, which is what every real crypto dreams of doing, regardless of the brutality of bear markets. And to be clear, in case you're one of the viewers who's new to the Hex and Pulse Chain ecosystem in general, when I say long-term, I'm talking 15 years. When anybody outside of Hex and Pulse Chain speaks about long-term in the context of holding or locking up coins, they're talking usually about like a 1 year time horizon at best. Yeah, so the perception of people in general out there in the crypto world, a 1 year time horizon with regard to holding something or locking something up is considered to be extremely long term. But in actual fact, if anything is going to have anything legitimately long term, whether it's in the legacy finance world or in the crypto world, it basically needs to be higher than 10 years. And yeah, the maximum length stake in Hex is 5,555 days, which is roughly 15 years. But the big question was, how do you get people to hard lock long term? The only way is to build something that's flawless. So Hex is literally and indisputably the best smart contract that you could possibly create because it's built with maximum durability by monetizing time. This is why the community is still and has been able to survive the impossible, a minus 99% elongated bear market, while being attacked by government institutions and even attacked by the industry itself from within. So in summary, the long-term hard lock, which allows you to generate trustless yield while you sleep, while always knowing that the community is permanently unshakable and powering forward in the background, is not to be taken lightly. And just to finalize the tweet, it also happens to be Hex. It also happens to be one of the only coins in existence today that also has full legal and regulatory clarity. And I'll get into the legal clarity stuff and the confirmation of the SEC victory in a minute. So yeah, I definitely see how and why this specific tweet resonated powerfully with the community. It needs to be it truly needs to be recognized how powerful a crypto can actually be when you've got a secure hard lock incentivization built into the code itself, and on top of that, the code, the hard locking aspect of Hex is what makes it unique, because it was the first of its kind. You know, it's basically presented as the first time deposit on the blockchain, which it actually is. And it's been battle tested for over 5 years and now exists on two chains, one being Ethereum, the other being Pulse Chain. Same code, operates the same way in both chains. It just got hard copied from Ethereum over to Pulse Chain 2 years ago. And yeah, on that note, it's worth mentioning that we are not only nearly 2,000 days since Hex launched, flawless operation, flawless uptime, which is going to be, I'm really looking forward to that 2,000-day milestone for Hex. But also, May 13th is the 2-year anniversary of Pulse Chain's launch in 2023. So that is also a huge milestone, and we're starting to really see an influx of positive price action in conjunction with positive market sentiment in Hex and Pulse Chain. One, because of the absolute confirmation of Richard Hart's SEC victory, and two, he even put out a nearly 1 hour long video that he uploaded to his Twitter account, basically providing a sort of a summary victory lap message for the world at large, and for us as the Hexicans and Hex and Pulse Chain ecosystem overall. So that has just his video alone that he's put out. I think it was about 3 days ago, and I'll get into that in a bit. Has been absolutely, yeah. I mean, it cannot be overstated how unprecedented the legal victory is for Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX as not being securities. So on that subject, let's sort of, I want to go into a specific tweet that I put out in the context of when the information, the legal information was publicly released, that the official documentation by the court of Richard Hart, Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX's victory was actually lodged and officially officially timestamped, was on the 5th of May, 6 days ago. And the interesting numerological component to that is really interesting, naturally, with the really, really strong 5 energy, because it's the 5th month, 5. Digit wise, you got 5/5, 2025. So you got the 5th month being May. It's the 5th day as well. So it's the purest 5 energy of the month, in the context of the specific day of the month. And you got 5 on the back end of 2025 as well. So the 5 energy is really strong, and that beautifully harmonizes with the numerology of the 5,555 day max length stake in Hex. So there's really interesting and powerful synchronicities in what's happening. You could say what's happening in, whether it's, you want to use the term universe or matrix or the reality. There are some very interesting energetic synchronicities and numerological synchronicities that are happening with these kinds of events, which is really cool. So we got that. So on the 5th of May, that was the day when it was it was documented. But it wasn't until the 6th of May, when I say the 5th of May, the 5th of May was UTC time, so Universal Time. And Universal Time on the 6th of May is when it was 100% unequivocally lodged. And I will read out the tweet that was put out by Richard Hart himself on his Twitter account. And one, what he wrote, and two, in this tweet, I'll read out what it actually says on there as well as the final judgment. So he writes, "The final judgment is in. I have defeated the SEC in court, something almost no cryptocurrency has ever done. Pulse Chain, PulseX, and Hex have a legal certainty almost no other coins have. I won for your freedom to publish and associate on the blockchain and to publish the software that empowers you to do so. I did it with no help at all from the industry that I've won a victory for. It's time for us all to take it to the next level. The coast is clear for greatness. New opportunities are now open." And so underneath that, it reads, "A memorandum, United States District Court, Eastern District of New York, SEC plaintiff versus Richard Schuler, aka Richard Hart, Hex, Pulse Chain and PulseX, reads a memorandum and order of the Honourable Carol B. Amon, which was the judge that presided over the case, United States District Judge, having been filed on February 28th, 2025, granting defendants motion to dismiss, granting plaintiff's request for leave to amend, and any such amendment complaint must be filed, and which that the amended complaint wasn't filed in the due allocated time. An order having been filed on May 5th, 2025, directing the clerk of court to enter judgment in favor of defendants. It is ordered in capital letters and adjudged in capital letters that judgment is hereby entered in favor of defendants. Defendants being Richard Hart, and also Hex, Pulse Chain and PulseX are also lumped in as the defendants, which from a legal standpoint is beyond comical, but in a poetic kind of way. The fact that Hex, Pulse Chain and PulseX are also marked as defendants in this case means that the win for the coins that he and the blockchain that he built, is the win for that is just as massive as the win for himself as an individual, and by extension that win has an automatic impact on all the investors that are in the Hex and Pulse Chain ecosystem, which is absolutely massive. And so, and just final overall clarity on what happens now going forward. So our resident legal expert, Nuclear Herbs, he put out a tweet saying that there is still from basically from May 6th onward, there is the 60-day appeal clock. And so so basically he writes the 60-day window to file a notice of appeal starts from that date, which is May 6th. But Nuclear Herbs basically makes it clear that it's not something for people to be worried about in our ecosystem. There's basically nothing to appeal, because first of all, they were given a 30-day extension to file an amended complaint, which they didn't do. Now it's officially lodged, signed and sealed that Richard Hart, Hex, Pulse Chain and PulseX have won the case, fully dismissed, all that stuff. And so even with this 60 days up until it's up until July 6th, roughly, they can file an appeal. But what are they appealing? They have no jurisdiction. There's no fraud. They got nothing. So I've got 100% confidence with that. And so, to sum this subject up, someone big shout out to this guy in our community, Super Hex. He's been very, very consistent all throughout as being one of the bigger influencers in our community, who's been perpetually putting out awesome content on TikTok, especially with short video clips. He's put out a tweet recently. When was it? It was back on the 6th, and he basically put in information into Grok or ChatGPT with AI to extract more definitive information as to which cryptocurrencies, if there are any cryptocurrencies out there that have achieved full legal and regulatory clarity and victory against institutional overreach. And I'll read it straight through. So as of now, the only cryptocurrencies that have clear legal clarity with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, which invariably has a global impact, basically meaning they are officially recognized as not securities. There are only 4. Well, Hex, well, basically how it's listed, it's listed Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX as one. So there's actually 6. So one being Bitcoin. The SEC has repeatedly stated that Bitcoin is not a security. Ethereum, although there's been past ambiguity, recent statements, especially from the CFTC and some other court cases, lean toward Ethereum being treated as a commodity, not a security. Ripple, which is also XRP. A federal judge ruled in 2023 that XRP is not a security when sold on public exchanges, though institutional sales were deemed securities. And of course, so Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX are the only, outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX are the only other coins that have not, but what Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX have over XRP, Ethereum. Well, actually, you could probably put XRP in the same camp as Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX, because XRP technically also won their case in court as not being a security. But even what Hex, Pulse Chain, and PulseX even has a leg up on Ethereum and Bitcoin, because technically, even though Bitcoin and Ethereum seem to obviously, in a lot of ways untouchable from a legal standpoint, because they are the behemoths and the pioneers / leaders of the industry as a whole. But technically, they haven't actually they haven't been taken to court in any way, shape, or form and actually challenged as being potentially not securities. But the thing is in a lot of ways the biggest win for Ethereum, even though Ethereum is not really classed as a security, even though it hasn't got that full clarity, because Pulse Chain is a fork of Ethereum, and it is specifically a fork of Ethereum 2.0, because basically, summary, Ethereum used to be a proof of work chain, and then it did its merge back in late 2022 and basically became a proof of stake blockchain. And so Pulse Chain is a fork of the Ethereum that got forked over into becoming a proof of stake chain. So because Pulse Chain and PulseX, by extension as well, has full regulatory clarity, that automatically means that Ethereum cannot be a security because Pulse Chain isn't. And many of us who have been around in Hex and Pulse Chain for a very long time, roughly around the beginning, we all understood very clearly that Hex was not a security. And we did everything possible, including Richard Hart himself and the community as a whole, to try to educate people in the crypto who are already in the crypto world, and also people outside of crypto, to understand that it wasn't a security, and all the legs in the Howey test would fail if it ever got challenged in the context of Howey. But of course, especially in the context of the general public and legacy financial world, people will want to see that the full, unequivocal, categorical victory in court, because then it becomes ironclad and can never be challenged ever again. And there's nothing that can substitute that kind of legal certainty. And of course, when it comes to human psychology, when it comes to markets, or even, life in general, the human mind always craves certainty to one degree or another. And especially when it comes to the most volatile asset class on the planet, being crypto, getting that kind of legal certainty is absolutely massive. So now I think that's 100% covered with regard to the SEC stuff and all the updates with all that stuff. So I just want to quickly give a shout out to the Pulse Tube. Definitely check those guys out. The website is cryptovideos.io. So, and I also want to give a shout out for the same reason, to PLS Folio, if they're tuning in, because these guys have. I want to send my gratitude to these guys for putting my my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, and on their websites, so it's easy for people, whether you're a veteran in crypto, a veteran in the Hex Pulse Chain ecosystem, or you're new. It makes it easy for people to find me, whether it's the content, my content that I put out through your Twitter or X, or whether it's on YouTube. People can find me pretty easily. So I really want to thank those guys, and these guys are definitely endorsable. They are putting out a lot of neutral, putting out a lot of neutral information with regarding supporting the Pulse Chain Hex ecosystem consistently. And PLS Folio, I think, is still relatively new as a portfolio tracker website. So I believe that the link to the website is plsfolio.com. I'll just quickly just confirm that. Yeah, plsfolio.com is one of the up and coming really cool portfolio Pulse Chain portfolio tracker websites. Tracks a lot of analytics and a lot of other cool stuff. So definitely check them out. Let's quickly check and see who's in the chat. All right. So we've got Orezo of it again. Good to see you, man. Hex Force 1. Good to see you, brother. Good evening. Who else have we got in here? We've got Samuel Villarreal. Happy to be here, trying to get some insight on what will Monday bring. Heard China admin walked out of trade talks, didn't go well. Expecting massive downturn for Monday. But what do the charts say? Yeah, so there's a lot of information at the moment to digest. Whether it's the macro stuff going on with in the political sphere and how that's impacting crypto. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think overall, we've very recently just seen some awesome pumps, both in the context of Ethereum to USD. So Ethereum is pumping in price against the dollar, and on top of that, we've seen a sharp decline in the short term, basically very most likely marking the top for Bitcoin dominance. And Bitcoin dominance is basically measured but by its value relative to Ethereum and the rest of the altcoin sector. And to measure that, you look at the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio chart, and by extension of that. So what I'll quickly do is also get into there's an astrological component regarding and I've talked about this on my Twitter regarding the Bitcoin and Solana move together because they have matching energies because they're both birthed and launched in rat years. So because they both have rat energy, they both went up. They both performed exceedingly well and moved up together in all of 2024 because it's the dragon year and rat and dragon are friends. But then you saw the proper top that was printed in January this year for Solana against Ethereum. So basically, we're seeing a massive rotational swing in terms of price, and in tandem with that, market sentiment. Solana and Bitcoin have been heavily topping out over the last few months. And what we've just seen, I think it was just in the last few, in about 2 or 3 days ago, Bitcoin has dominance, like I said, has topped out. Don't know the exact figure, but if you look at the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio chart, it's looking pretty ominous for Bitcoin. I've been talking about it already, like for a while, that there's going to be. This was back in late April, so I'll actually quickly pivot over to. So in April 23, April 23rd, put out a tweet basically re-emphasizing that Bitcoin is. This was before the recent top out. So Bitcoin is rat energy, Solana is rat energy. They move together. The horse year is coming, which begins middle February 2026 next year. So what that's alluding to is that basically, and you can see it in the charts, and the charts don't lie. And the charts, as I've mentioned before, is basically charts of human emotion, and human emotion is the primary driver of markets, especially free markets, and crypto is the freest market on the planet. So Bitcoin and Solana move together, but not in the way that most people understand. And so, and this also applies to Ethereum and Pulse Chain in the same way. So Bitcoin and Solana are both in rat energy. And so because the horse is the enemy sign to the rat, and as the snake year progresses, and generally rats are not going to do too well in snake years as well. Mostly because it's getting a lot closer to its enemy year in the following year. So already we're starting to seeing signs of the parabola in Bitcoin and both Solana against Ethereum. So Bitcoin against the dollar and Solana against the dollar is topping out, but even more so, Bitcoin and Solana are topping out against Ethereum. So we're starting to see a very bullish charge for Ethereum price wise. I think it just hit about 2,500. So literally just in the last few days, it pumped up from around 1,1800 US up to about 2,500 now. But it really is, in the context of the bull cycle as a whole, it's really just, in my opinion, just getting started. And we've still got a solid 8 months ish left of 2025. So there's a lot of solid price positive upside action to come for the rest of this year. And as I've talked about, I've put it out in tweets in recent history that because of the elongated nature of Bitcoin's upside action this cycle, while the rest of the altcoin sector has been very dormant comparatively to previous cycles, the net exit out of Bitcoin and Solana together back into Ethereum and other chains like Pulse Chain and other layer ones, it's going to be pretty violent, and it's going to be in the context of time frame. It's going to feel, at least it's going to feel crammed in a very short period of time, and it's going to get violent. So definitely recommend people to emotionally compose themselves and brace yourself for crazy volatility over the next 8 months, both in both directions, but predominantly in the upside direction. So I think that will cover everything. So I'll just quickly finish up, just see who's in the comments. Hexagon Greenhorn, good to see you, brother. Samuel Villarreal, he says, see that you have a young stream, wishing you well, sir. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, I've only just started up this channel a couple of months ago, back in March. Going to be going super hard this year, as I've emphasized in previous streams. All the numerological and energetic synchronicities are in perfect alignment for me this year to go extra hard. And yeah, just going to keep at it. Rat and Lost is up in the house. What up, T-Bird? Let's effing go. Yeah, man. It's been a long time coming. The most brutal crypto altcoin bear market in history. The hexagons and the pulse chain ecosystem deserve nothing but glory and victory for just the amount that we've had to endure for so many years. And of course, everything feels slowed down in crypto. So even just 1 year of extreme bear market sentiment feels like 10x that. So yeah, looking forward to everything that's coming for the rest of 2025, and always appreciate all the people coming in, viewing the stream, putting in the comments. All forms of support is deeply appreciated. Hit the like and subscribe if you want to show your support and appreciate my content and what I do. And definitely check out my Twitter account, which is where I'm most active. And my Twitter X account is x.com/TheRealTBirdHex, my only account. And much love, y'all. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.